Today on Studio One, few people are as busy as a waitress in a crowded restaurant. We'll spend a day in the life of someone who waits on others. Also, years ago, children learned their ABCs in one-room schoolhouses. Some are trying to preserve those classroom memories. And tennis greats Andre Agassi and Andy Roddick may be at the opposite ends of their careers, but they still match up with skill and passion for the game.
From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Hello everyone and welcome to Studio One. I'm Monty Cashel.
And I'm Carrie Versdahl. Well, according to the National Council for Adoption, 60% of people have some connection with adoption.
Okay.
Whether it be, they have adopted themselves or they have a friend or even someone in their family's adopted. Mm-hmm. So it actually affects a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
It is.
Well, I was just going to say, and you often hear about the process. Sometimes you hear people say it's really hard to adopt a child. Others say it was a fairly easy process.
Right, and actually coming up on the show, we're going to have someone to talk to us about adoption, tell us about the process and things like that, so it'll be really interesting.
Excellent. We'll look forward to that. Also coming up on the show, many educators complain about the poor writing skills of college students. We'll tell you how some are hoping a new written exam could help students be better prepared.
Also, this year, 11% of all United States citizens will be diagnosed with depression. We will talk to someone who can tell us about some of the warning signs for this disease.
But first, here's today's news with Mariah Torning.
Thank you, Monty and Carrie. The highest-ranking soldier connected to the Abu Ghraib prison scandal has been sentenced. U.S. Staff Sergeant Ivan Frederick received 8 years in prison for his involvements in abusing Iraqis held at Abu Ghraib. Frederick pled guilty to 5 charges of abusing Iraqi detainees. Under the plea agreement, he admitted to maltreatment of prisoners, assault, and committing an indecent act. The 38-year-old's prison sentence is the longest yet in connection with the scandal. Britain has agreed to a U.S. request to redeploy about 850 troops to central Iraq. Members of Britain's elite Black Watch Battalion, along with supporting units, will be relieving U.S. troops in an area west of Baghdad. British Prime Minister Tony Blair is facing strong criticism for the move. Members of his own Labour Party say his decision is designed to help boost President Bush's re-election campaign. Blair is strongly denying the accusation. Fewer than 1 in every 6 people in the United States will be able to get a flu shot this year. Because of a contaminated shipment, U.S. supplies were cut in half. This year's shortage is causing many clinics to restrict flu shots to children, the elderly, and to people who could be at risk for the flu. So far, there has been only sporadic cases of the flu throughout the U.S. However, many doctors expect those numbers to rise. Some hospitals are trying to inform the public about how to avoid getting the flu this year. Many doctors say a proper diet, plenty of rest, and cleanliness are all important ways to help prevent the flu. Another option is a nasal spray vaccine called Flu Mist. Doctors also recommend avoiding people who may already be sick. A National Patient Safety Commission is warning hospitals that some people are waking up during surgery. The group wants hospitals to monitor their patients more closely during surgery because the anesthesia may wear off. The commission found that some patients woke up to operating room conversations. Others said they felt like they couldn't breathe or actually experienced the pain of surgery. Although it's very rare that a patient will wake up, the commission still wants hospitals to ask patients about their experiences during surgery. College officials are finding that many U.S. students lack proper writing skills. Universities are trying to solve this problem by adding a new requirement to college admission.
Getting into college is a dream for many, but applying can be a difficult process. Now many colleges want students to take a written essay test as part of the regular ACT or SAT exams. The University of North Dakota in Grand Forks is one of several schools considering adding this requirement. The UND Student Senate recently passed a resolution opposing the test, but some feel adding the essay portion will encourage students to focus on their writing before they get into college and give schools a better idea of how well a student will perform.
Frankly, in life, we don't always get to do things when we want to do it, in the time frame we want to do it, and think about it. So I think it also adds that element of pressure.
Others oppose the idea because of cost and possible reduced enrollment. They also say it would not be a proper assessment of students' writing skills.
Students are more likely to perform better when they have more time to complete the work.
Some faculty also agree that students may not write well under such pressure.
Most writing that they actually do for a class, they have a chance to revise. A lot of students get test anxiety, and writing can be particularly stressful for that. So are we actually getting an important, meaningful measure?
UND student leaders say it would be more appropriate if the university administered their own essay requirement. And like many students across the nation, they don't want a standardized written exam to determine their academic futures. This is Kaylee Hamilton reporting for Studio One News.
17% of U.S. colleges that already use ACT scores will also require the essay score beginning in the fall of 2006. And that's the news for now. Monty and Carrie?
Thanks a lot, Mariah. Well, one thing I really like about this time of the year is usually around this area, anyway, you can throw on a light jacket, walk around outside, and see how things are changing with the season.
Exactly, but you might have that light jacket on. It might get too cold.
That's true.
You just never know what you're going to find.
Quick.
Yes, it does. Well, why don't we go to Aaron Swanson over at the Regional Weather Information Center. He can tell us more about what's going on outside.
Well, thanks, Monty and Carrie. We have been seeing some of those warm and cold conditions across much of the area for us, but that's quite typical this time of year. So let's take a look at our almanac here. So take a look into North Dakota. Our average temperatures are into the upper 40s and into the lower 50s as well for our average highs, and our overnight low temperatures are right around 30 degrees. So take a look into Denver. Right around 62 is your average high, 58 in Portland, 52 into Minneapolis, and 5 degrees Celsius is your average high up in Winnipeg. As we take a look, we do have some Pacific lows that will be starting up this time of year. They are very common actually in the winter, and what causes them is actually a sharp temperature contrast, and really the larger the storm, the lower the pressure. So if you think of it this way, a low generates a lot of lift in the atmosphere, and actually it starts to draw air from off the ocean surface up into the atmosphere, causing the pressure to decrease quite drastically at the surface. So as we take a look, this is typically the pattern that we'll see a low pressure move, and we'll see it hit into northern or northwestern parts of the country and into California. And in California, typically we'll see those more of the sharper contrasts. We'll see a cold front and also a warm front, and also you see an occluded front there as well. And what an occluded front is where your cold air catches up with your warm air. So, and that pretty much is just kind of a same temperature area though in an occluded area. So as we take a look at as it heads on in through the Rockies, it sort of just dies off, and you won't see many rain showers or anything, and also a lot of the pressure will be back to, will have a little higher pressure, which will less intensify the storm pretty much. So as we take a look at where it's going to be warm, or excuse me, where we're going to see dry or wet actually, probably won't be seeing any Pacific lows out into the northwest. We'll see some dry air there, and also a little bit wet through the Rocky region, but otherwise right around normal into the Midwest, and drier out to the East Coast. So where we're going to see those warm or cold conditions, you can see that big blotch of warm air right into the center of the country, which is really nice for people up into the northern plains, because usually it's a little chillier this time of year, but we'll be seeing some cold air out to the far west and also into the east. Now here's a look at your Studio Weather IQ question. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, what did the heaviest pumpkin weigh in at? And you have a range from 560 pounds almost up to 1.5 tons. So Monty Carey will have the answer to that question, and also look at some pumpkin patches coming up in the second half of your show.
All right, thanks, Aaron. None of those seem like they could be real.
No, that's even the smallest choice we had there was 500 and some pounds. That's a big pumpkin.
We'll have to find out.
A lot of pie there. All right, well, let's go now to sports with Greg Ankers.
Thanks, Monty and Carrie. No team has ever come back down 3-0 in a baseball playoff series to force a Game 7. With that record shattered, Boston looked to do the impossible, come from 3 back to win the ALCS over the New York Yankees. Sox and Yanks, let's go. In the top of the second, 2-0 Boston, and Johnny Damon, silent all series long, but his bat comes through here with a grand slam to right. Boston up 6-0, and for Damon, his night was just getting started. Up again in the fourth with a man on, and Damon goes deep again. This is an upper deck shot to right. The Sox cruising 8-1 at that point. They would hold on 10-3 in the ninth. Last gasp for the Yankees. Ruben Sierra grounds out to second, and Boston can start celebrating. They're back in the World Series for the first time since 1986, and now they're looking for an opponent. For that, we go to Game 6 of the NLCS. St. Louis up 4-3 in the ninth, but Jeff Bagwell comes through with a single as Morgan Ensberg will come home and score, tying this one up at 4. We're going to extra innings. The drama would build into the 12th. A man on, and Jim Edmonds sending every Cardinals fan home with a smile on their face. The 2-run shot is a walk-off homer for him. The Cards force a Game 7, and that game will be played in St. Louis Thursday night. The winner of that one will play the Boston Red Sox for this year's World Series. For ice hockey fans, a finely polished rink is something that's often taken for granted. But for those behind the scenes, countless hours are put in to keep the ice in top condition. Educators from STAR, or Serving the American Rinks, recently came to Grand Forks, North Dakota to help educate ice maintenance personnel. The organization offers training that varies from using maintenance equipment to basic refrigeration techniques, and each workshop gives participants a chance to learn from many different people.
The great thing about these classes is what they learn from each other. At this particular location, we've got 30 rink individuals that are here, and they will easily learn as much from each other, if not more, than what they learn from the instructors.
Currently, there are only 43 professionals in the U.S. that have achieved STAR's Certified Ice Technician status, but STAR hopes to certify many more on their tour across the U.S. this year. And now it's time for the Studio One Sports Trivia question. Maybe some of those that worked with STAR at their workshop learned this. How many gallons of water does it take to fill an NHL regulation-sized rink? There's answers ranging there from 5,000 to 20,000 gallons, and no matter how you break it down, that's a lot of water. We'll tell you how much it is when we have more sports later on. Monty and Carrie?
Thank you, Greg. American horror movies are known for using specific scare tactics to frighten an audience. We'll preview the movie The Grudge, filmed in Japan, and see how fear is defined in the Far East.
Also, many psychologists agree that depression can be prevented with counseling and training. Our next guest will tell us more about these preventative measures.
Need to plan an entire conference? Want to provide your employees with professional training and development? The Division of Continuing Education at the University of North Dakota provides quality programs and services for career enhancement. Whether you want to attend educator workshops or need a certificate for your profession, the Division of Continuing Education can help you achieve success. Contact the Division of Continuing Education today and let us meet your professional needs.
When you graduate from college, what will you be able to offer an employer?
Well, I'm a really good people person.
I really love working with people.
I'm very, very motivated.
I'm a great people person.
I am really motivated.
Offer an employer something more. At the University of North Dakota Career Services Center, we can help you get the competitive edge you need. Stop in or check us out, UND Career Services, empowering students to realize their dreams.
Did I mention I'm great with people?
The University of North Dakota College of Business and Public Administration offers real degrees for real people. Our nationally recognized faculty can help you earn a master's degree in business through evening classes.
Taking these evening classes were very convenient for me, and that's how I was able to complete the program.
We offer degrees for people who work, raise families, and lead busy lives. The UND College of Business and Public Administration, real degrees for real people.
Become a leader in healthcare with a graduate degree from the University of North Dakota. The Graduate School at UND offers degree programs and advanced practice certificate programs in the allied health professions and nursing. Our faculty give you the individual attention you need to help you attain your career goals. Distance programs for practicing professionals allow you to pursue graduate studies without interrupting your career. Contact the UND Graduate School today.
The School of Engineering and Mines at UND has a long history of preparing students for successful careers. Through small classes and faculty involvement, students have unique opportunities to gain hands-on experience. Here, students launch a weather balloon to test a remote imaging device destined for Earth orbit. Students can also become involved in wind energy and fuel cell projects, design, build, and race a Formula One car, or even develop a camera that will generate agricultural images from the International Space Station. Find out for yourself how you can get involved at UND School of Engineering and Mines.
You're watching Studio One from the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks.
Everyone has times when they feel a little blue. Sometimes prolonged negative thoughts can lead to a depression that goes overlooked. A key to preventing this disease is to talk to a counselor at the onset of the problem. Psychologist Myron Veenstra is here to talk to us about the symptoms of depression. Thank you for coming on the show today, Myron.
You're welcome.
Well, first of all, many people might think they know the definition of depression, but how would you define depression?
When people think about depression, they think about the blues, sadness. Of course, those are associated symptoms, but depression that becomes clinical carries with it what's called endogenous symptoms. Those are physical symptoms such as changes in sleep, difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, or early morning awakening. Changes in appetite, where there's either no appetite or increase in appetite, so there's excessive eating. There's changes in concentration, memory, energy, interest for the futures. So there's a lot of physical symptoms that go along with depression. It's not just simply sadness.
Okay. Now, many people experience a lot of those different symptoms that you had just talked about. They go through some rough times. How do you know the difference between a normal downtime in your life and something that can lead to depression?
Well, with clinical depression, where it's becoming a major element in your life, it's starting to affect relationships, productivity on your job or school. Thinking about the future is not something that you anticipate with happiness. You're laying in bed, not able to get out, do the things that were once interesting to you, hold no interest. So the individual experiences clear changes that are rather drastic and long-term. They don't simply go away, even with positive developments like going on a visit to family is not enjoyed, the symptoms persist. So it is biochemical when it becomes clinical endogenous depression. It's not simply something that you can change by willpower.
Okay. How common is this that people would go into a depression like that?
Well, the National Institutes of Health will estimate that 19 million people in the United States this year will be depressed. It's more common amongst women, 1 in 4, perhaps 1 in 10 with men. But one difference there is that men don't tend to tune into their own feelings. They also transpose anger from aggression from depression. So while they don't tend to their feelings, you would see more irritability with males. So it's sometimes difficult to recognize in males as such, and also with adolescents, young people tend to show depression by acting out, which parents look at as negative behavior and they discipline, and more depression follows.
Okay. Is this something that's a predisposed condition, or is it something that can be easily prevented?
Well, there is a biological basis to depression. People that have a family history of depression are more prone towards it, but any individual placed under enough stress or in situations that have disrupted their lives can change their physiology and experience depression. Many people react with grief to the experience because they didn't expect this could happen to me. So it's not a character flaw or something that's an inadequacy. It does happen biologically.
Okay. Is there a particular age group that is more likely to be depressed than another?
Well, the average age for onset of depression is 25 years old. So most depression occurs between ages of late adolescence and early 30s. However, amongst the population at the university, there's a fair amount of depression that's unrecognized, perhaps 8% of the population. With students, for example, 20% of them will say that they know their symptoms are worse than others, depression, anxiety, stress, but only 6% probably seek treatment. So there's a gap in what people are experiencing and getting help for.
What can be done then once somebody is diagnosed as being depressed?
Well, cognitive behavioral therapies are the standard of treatment for counseling. They're remarkably successful. Perhaps 80 to 90% of people will experience a real change in their symptoms physically and mentally. Medications are also prescribed. They're particularly helpful when an individual has these set-in vegetative symptoms of sleep disturbance, eating problems, the mentation, the thinking has slowed down so that the energy isn't there, and so you get a cascading effect. And medications are often needed to get the person back up to a level where they can use the cognitive counseling to make sustained long-term changes.
Okay, so there's a number of things that you do to get them back to feeling a lot better.
Yes.
Well, thanks so much for coming on the show today, Myron. We learned a lot, and hopefully we can help some few people.
You're welcome.
Coming up, there are quite a few important steps to go through before adopting a child. Later, we'll talk to someone that helps others with the process. Also, they play a vital role in your restaurant experience. Coming up, we'll spend the day in the life of someone who balances trays of food and customer satisfaction.
Earn a degree in engineering while you continue to work. The University of North Dakota's Distance Engineering degree program offers the only ABET accredited undergraduate degree program at a distance. Instructors and classes are delivered to you through online lectures and condensed on-campus laboratories.
It's convenient, it's flexible, and it's a quality education.
UND Continuing Education and the School of Engineering and Mines, teaming up to bring quality education to your door.
Need to plan an entire conference? Want to provide your employees with professional training and development? The Division of Continuing Education at the University of North Dakota provides quality programs and services for career enhancement. Whether you want to attend educator workshops or need a certificate for your profession, the Division of Continuing Education can help you achieve success. Contact the Division of Continuing Education today and let us meet your professional needs.
Japan is a setting for the new thriller movie The Grudge. American nurse Karen Davis, played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, is staying in Tokyo when she stumbles across something supernatural. The story is based on a Japanese myth that when someone dies in a violent rage, their spirit is made into a murderous curse. Karen comes into contact with the vengeful spirit while working in a patient's home. Once she sees the curse, she must fight to escape with her life insanity. The movie is a remake of the hit Ju-on that was released in Japan 2 years ago. The Grudge uses the same director and many of the same sets. The experience taught Gellar a lot about Japanese horror films.
They sort of float from here to there, and it just gives it this very dramatic, very creepy style that is very different from the in-your-face American horror films.
Gellar had one close call during the filming of a shower scene. She was allergic to something in the water and developed a rash. The crew had to make coverings out of garbage bags for her. The Grudge opens October 22nd nationwide. Now it's time to take a look at the events happening in your area. Many people enjoy going out to eat, but for one person it's serving the food that she enjoys. Today we spend a day in the life of someone who makes sure your meal is just the way you want it. It's okay.
Becky Risky collects dirty dishes and balances full plates of food almost every day. She is a waitress at Jeannie's restaurant. Her job means meeting big demands but paying attention to the small things.
You're worried so much about whether your customers got everything exactly how they wanted it, or if you were attentive enough to them. What would you like to drink?
Coffee with cream, eggs over easy, or a salad with the dressing on the side. She knows how to get an order right. For Becky, it's not about the tips left on her tables. She says it's the tips she learns from watching her managers work that make her a better waitress.
She's a very good server. We're lucky to have Becky here. Yes, we are. She's very well liked by the customers, and everybody likes her a bunch.
Becky's shifts change often at this 24-hour restaurant. The long hours never slow her down. Somehow, she just keeps going.
We get to drink coffee while we're on the job, so, that kind of helps out a little bit.
Although she doesn't plan on waiting tables forever, Becky says it'll be hard to leave.
Because you could go and get a job that, you travel or do whatever. But it's the people that I work with, the people that I wait on, You know, it's like home. Everybody knows you by name.
For her, it's more than just serving food. It's about serving a smile.
Happiness kind of makes the world go round, and if we can have a little bit in here while we're working all day long, it's great.
Even when Becky goes home exhausted, she says waitressing is one job she'll never get tired of. With photographer Lindsay Turner, I'm Laisha Kopp for Studio One.
The U.S. Department of Labor says there are about 2 million waitresses and waiters in the nation. Becky's coworkers say it's her fun personality that sets her apart from the rest. Coming up, many people have fond memories of their school days. We'll take you to a country school that may be small but had a big impact on one man's life. That story plus news, sports, and the weather in the next half hour of Studio One.
George Bull and his partners found value in farina, the whitest part of wheat, and created cream of wheat. Patrick Haggerty founded Texas Instruments and helped it become one of the nation's high-tech giants. Raymond Rood is responsible for the modern diving board. His diving boards have been used in every Olympic competition since 1960. Chris Moen and Marlene Schott launched their food company through the UND Entrepreneurship Program. Will yours be next?
The University of North Dakota Alumni Association and Foundation, together with thousands of alumni and friends, are making a difference at UND. Thanks to generous private support, many students have experienced the rich history, tradition, and spirit of the University of North Dakota. UND alumni and friends understand the importance of education and are proud to be part of UND's growth and success. Learn how your gift to the UND Foundation can benefit you and your university. You can make a difference.
Earn a degree in engineering while you continue to work. The University of North Dakota's Distance Engineering degree program offers the only ABET accredited undergraduate degree program at a distance. Instructors and classes are delivered to you through online lectures and condensed on-campus laboratories.
It's convenient, it's flexible, and it's a quality education.
UND Continuing Education and the School of Engineering and Mines, teaming up to bring quality education to your door.
Tradition runs deep among American Indian people. One of those traditions is helping others. At the University of North Dakota, American Indian Student Services is dedicated to helping students succeed. Our support services include tutoring and financial aid assistance. We have more American Indian programs than any other university in the U.S., making UND a leader in Indian education. Be a part of our tradition. Call 1-800-CALL-UND.
From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Welcome back to Studio One.
Thanks for joining us today. Well, we're creeping closer and closer to the November election.
It's weird that it's almost here.
I know, and around this time of year, whenever there's a big election coming up, issues start flying around, that we're kind of hiding before, and they come out into the open. A lot of discussion going on between people.
Things I've never even really taken thought to, I guess.
Right, and then now they're thrust into the spotlight, and oftentimes the issues are what decide elections. So we wanted to find out what people thought were the most important election issues, so we went out and talked to them about that. Also coming up in the next 30 minutes on Studio One, young people have typically stayed home on Election Day. We'll tell you how many are hoping this year may be different.
Also, many older Americans receive their education in a one-room schoolhouse. Coming up in our Studio One Spotlight, you'll see how some are finding a way to relive that simpler time.
And starting a family is a trying process. Coming up, we'll talk to a woman who helps families through adoption. But first, today's news with Mariah Torning.
Thank you, Monty and Carrie. Senator John Kerry was hunting for geese and voters on Thursday in Ohio. It was an effort by Kerry's campaign to show America how their candidate is just a regular guy. He purchased his hunting license in Ohio, a key battleground state. Kerry says this display of who he really is may help voters who are stuck in the middle make their decision. His advisor says Kerry is just doing the things that he loves in the final days before the election. However, the NRA says that Kerry is posing as an avid hunter while he is opposing rights for gun owners. One person was killed early Thursday morning in an apartment fire in Salem, Oregon. 4 others were injured after jumping out of upper-story windows. The fire caused more than $800,000 in property damage and left many renters homeless. Authorities are still investigating the cause of the blaze. Political groups often look to the polls to see who's ahead in the presidential race, but others believe a simple Halloween mask has the ability to determine who will win the election. Buy Costumes, a web-based Halloween store, claims that the winner of the presidential election can be predicted by whose mask sells more. This year, 53% of people are buying Bush's face, and 47% are picking up Kerry's. Buy Costume sales figures and those of national chains have accurately picked the president since 1980. That is bad news for some people.
I wish it was Kerry. That's my hopeful, but from what I heard, if the masks speak for themselves, it looks like it's going to be George Bush.
Many people dress up as their favorite candidate in order to show support and demonstrate their political leanings. Roughly a quarter of all votes in this year's election may be cast before Election Day. Early voting is a trend that has been increasing in popularity. It's allowing campaigns to see what groups support them so they can focus on undecided voters. Election officials say early voting is convenient for many people who may be too busy on Election Day. Others say this option may deny voters from receiving critical information closer to November 2nd. 32 states are currently offering some form of early voting. Political activists say this could be the year of young voters, but if history holds true, the trend has been that most young people do not show up on Election Day.
The close race in the 2000 presidential election showed each vote can make a difference, but since 1980, voters between the ages of 18 and 24 have had the worst turnout of any age group in every presidential election. Candidates in the 2004 election, however, are still targeting this group.
A lot of these get out the vote ads are focused on younger people in our age. And I feel that's because it is kind of an untapped source of very eligible voters.
Research done by MTV found that more young people are saying they will vote in this year's election than in previous elections. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the #1 reason for young people not to vote was that they were too busy. #2 was that they were out of town, and #3 was that their vote didn't matter.
Pretty much, I just don't really follow politics and stuff like that, so I'm not really interested in it. I don't think I'd make that big of a difference, really.
But others say every voter should make themselves heard.
We're very fortunate to be able to vote in the United States. A lot of other countries don't have this privilege, and I think we take voting for granted. Like I said, some students maybe feel that their vote doesn't count, and it really does.
Young voters could sway the election outcome, but they have not voted in a mass strength nationally since 1968. Even though the turnout has been small in the past, many hope that this election will be different. Reporting for Studio One News, I'm Jamie Mernick.
Political experts say the downward trend in youth voting began after the Vietnam War in the 1970s. They say the end of the military draft and the conclusion of the Cold War has created a comfortable environment for young voters. And that's the news for now. Monty and Carrie?
Thanks, Mariah. Well, I wonder if people could vote on their favorite weather and made it happen. I wonder what would be the consensus there.
I'd vote for warm.
Really?
Yeah.
You like warm?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Why don't we go to Aaron Swanson over at the Regional Weather Information Center and he can tell us what he'd vote for.
Yeah, well, I'm with you, Carrie. I'd actually vote for warm too, I think. So it's always so cold up here, too long in my opinion. But anyway, this is another peak time of the year for strong storms and tornadoes in the south. With cooler air moving in from the north, a sharp temperature contrast was setting up. We saw large hail, as large actually as softball size in Alabama when the some storms moved on through. They saw a total of 31 tornadoes reported on October 18th and 19th across the Tennessee Valley region. In Arkansas, authorities reported that at least 118 buildings were damaged and 15 people injured. 3 people were killed by tornadoes in southern Missouri when it struck their home, actually. And we do have a graphic here to show you. This is the area that was mainly affected by the storm. With the main bulk of the tornadoes was right around in the Tennessee and Mississippi Valley area, and they saw a ton of tornadoes, those 31 of them actually. So most of the bad weather that has plagued the south has moved off to the east, but as we approach the end of October, people have turned their attention from the sky to the ground in search of the perfect pumpkin. Unfortunately for pumpkin enthusiasts, in the Midwest, the crop this fall is anything but perfect.
Pumpkins are a popular fall tradition. Kids carve jack-o'-lanterns, pies are made, and pumpkin seeds are baked to snack on.
After one of the coldest Midwestern summers on record, many pumpkin crops were left severely damaged, if not completely lost. Stephen and Dorothy Engers of Hatton, North Dakota, grow pumpkins on their farm. They have felt the effects of the colder summer weather on their crop.
They're not real hardy. They don't seem like they're really standing up well to the weather. We've had more spoilage this year in our jack-o'-lantern pumpkins than we've ever had before.
Pumpkins lost an entire month of growing weather this summer. That made it difficult for them to reach maturity.
Pumpkins are a warm season crop, and they need the warm temperatures and the sunlight to mature the pumpkins.
While this year's pumpkin yield was far below average, farmers are doing their best to save the few pumpkins that survived. I'm Hannah Bloomberg reporting for Studio One.
There was also a shortage of bees this year, which they help pollinate pumpkins in the spring. Well, here's a recap of your Studio One Weather IQ question. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, what did the heaviest pumpkin weigh in at? And your answer is C, 1,337 pounds and 9 ounces. So quite a big pumpkin for my standards. I wouldn't want to be the one carving that out, I don't think, Monty and Carrie.
All right, thanks, Aaron. I would not want to carve that either. Ooh, that's a lot of pumpkin.
So is that like as big as a car?
I don't know. Think of all the gooey stuff on the inside, though.
A lot of seeds in there.
Yeah.
And I bet you the seeds were this big,
Huge.
right?
Never know.
Never know. All right, well, let's go to sports again with Greg Ankers.
Thanks, Monty and Carrie. From kids hitting balls off the garage door to becoming the world's #1, Andre Agassi and Andy Roddick share more in common than just a love for tennis. The crafty veteran and the young fireballer share premier status in American tennis today.
Andre Agassi turned pro in 1986, the same year Andy Roddick turned 4 years old. Now, ranked #2 in the world, Roddick is cementing his place among the American tennis elite.
People, put that tag on you early to kind of succeed these guys. It is tough, but it's also something that I really enjoy.
The two tennis greats recently competed in a charity match in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Like previous meetings, it was a battle of experience versus youth. It's not just his serve that impresses people. Roddick brings his best effort every time he steps in the court.
He's a great competitor as well. He lays his heart on the court every single time. I can't think of the game being in hands any better than his.
Being the future of American tennis means Roddick has a lot to live up to.
There's always pressure in sports, but especially in America with the standard that guys like Andre, Pete, we've had such a great tradition in this country.
With the retirement of Andre's longtime rivals, Pistol Pete Sampras and Jim Courier, some fans wonder about Andre's staying power.
I plan on doing this longer. As long as I can be competitive with the best in the world, being out there with Andy is one of the biggest challenges that you can face on the court these days.
In this match, experience did in fact beat youth, and Agassi proves he and Roddick will be sharing the spotlight for some time to come. With photographer Greg Ankers, I'm Tyler Tupa, reporting for Studio One Sports.
Roddick and Agassi together have won nearly 1,000 matches and nearly $30 million in prize money. And now the answer to this week's Studio One Sports Trivia question: how many gallons of water does it take to fill a regulation-size NHL rink? And the answer we're looking for there is C, 15,000 gallons. And once that water is laid down, it's kept about 3/4 of an inch thick, and the ideal temperature is 16 degrees Fahrenheit. And that is the sports. Monty and Carrie.
Thanks, Greg. A great haircut can give someone a boost of confidence, but for one stylist, the snip of a scissors meant more than a change of style. It became about caring.
Also, people often have a personal connection to the school they attended as a child. Coming up in our Spotlight story, we'll tell you about one man's strong ties to his former school.
Wall Street has come to the prairie through the A. Kirk Lanterman Investment Center at the University of North Dakota. This state-of-the-art facility in the College of Business and Public Administration provides hands-on experience in the world of modern finance. Students learn how financial markets react with lightning quickness to world events. They use cutting-edge technology and real-time data from more than 200 financial markets around the world. The Lanterman Investment Center provides the tools to make a career out of an education.
There are many things to be found at the University of North Dakota School of Law. You will find a place with small class settings, an affordable place that offers student interaction with both the state and federal court systems, You will find a school that has averaged over 90% placement for its graduates the past 5 years. But most importantly, you will find the skills and experience you'll need throughout your legal career. Find your future at the University of North Dakota School of Law.
This can happen.
Excuse me, can I get a ride?
What?
My car broke down. Can I get a ride?
No, I can't help you.
Look, it's just a ride.
No, step back.
Get in the car!
No!
Women can defend themselves. To learn more about Impact U or to enroll in a class, call the UND Women's Center.
Advance your career with a graduate business degree from the University of North Dakota. The graduate school at UND offers a variety of master's degrees that can help you stand out in the competitive business world. Our programs accommodate full-time students as well as working professionals. Our state-of-the-art facilities, dedicated faculty, and entrepreneurial training position graduates for careers as business leaders. Make your move towards a business leadership position. Contact the UND Graduate School today.
You're watching Studio One, news, weather, sports, and entertainment.
Some people devote their lives to their profession. For one woman, her profession has brought her devotion.
Carrie Turks knows everything there is to know about hair. She spends her days making people look and feel beautiful. Carrie says one of the best parts about her job are her coworkers.
We're kind of like a family. Some of the people I've worked with my whole time doing hair. So you get to know each other really well and you form close friendships.
Friendships are meaningful to Carrie. At this point in her life, they are more important than ever. 4 months ago, Carrie was told she had cancer.
I got a biopsy done. They actually cut open and took a large lymph node out and biopsied that. And that's what showed the Hodgkin's disease.
Her stylist friends opened the salon entirely for a fundraiser. All proceeds went to Carrie, including tips.
And we know if this was anybody else, Carrie would be here just working her butt off with the rest of us.
She said even if they didn't make any money today, knowing that people are just there to help her is what makes her feel so good.
I, didn't feel I deserved it, but they wanted to do it to show their care and concern for me. And I really appreciated it.
The customers also felt they needed to lend a hand in any way possible.
I would hope if we had a family problem in my family that if we had a fundraiser, people would come out and help us too,
Through her trial, Carrie remains strong and brave. She draws strength from a special Bible verse.
For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end.
Carrie Turks is a beautiful person on the outside, but her friends make it clear that she is also a beautiful person on the inside. I am Lindsay Turner reporting for Studio One.
Carrie continues to work through her treatment. She is still able to work more than 30 hours a week at the salon. The war in Iraq and the economy have been frequently discussed issues in this year's presidential race. What the candidates choose to focus on will in the end decide the final outcome. We wanted your thoughts on what issues are most important.
I think that's the premise that this country is based on, and it's important that we get more of a grassroots level and get people involved.
You got something as simple as the Patriot Act that is supposed to be here to defend the United States. If you read that, it is not here. It's an attack on domestic law and the Constitution.
In light of my age, preservation of Social Security.
I think the most important issues is we just need a strong leader, someone who doesn't back down to terrorism. And the other major point that I think we need health care for everybody.
I just think that it's important to finish out our war in Iraq. I think that we shouldn't pull out of there and that we need to take care of business over there before we're completely pull out.
As a person who's 22 years old in this country, I'm very concerned about the draft.
Basically, I would have to say the gay amendments.
Most students can't wait for class to be over, but for one man, it feels as if he never left. In today's Spotlight story, a former student's visit to his old classroom gives him the chance to experience childhood memories.
To many, this is just an abandoned building, alone on the prairie. To others, this one-room schoolhouse near Lakota, North Dakota, brings back memories of an era forgotten by many, but fondly remembered by a few.
Many a times at recess, we would get to playing a little too far from the school, and the teacher ring the bell, and we were kind of slow getting to class, and we would kind of catch heck for that once in a while.
Les Ferry attended class in this one-room schoolhouse more than 70 years ago. Luxuries of life were hard to come by then. There was no indoor plumbing, and without any electricity, the winters were bitter.
It was pretty cold sometimes. Remember, we would sit around the stove there maybe till almost noon before it got warm enough you could take your seat again.
And at this open house for his old school, Les is back revisiting some of the memories captured in the pictures lining the walls. But he's attending as more than just a guest.
We find that the little country schools are disappearing quite rapidly, and we wanted to save the ones we have.
About 4 years ago, Les decided he wanted to restore his old school.
I thought he was crazy. It's a lot of work, and there was no furniture in here.
In the back of my mind, I always have the idea that maybe we should save this because someday somebody might like to see it and look at it.
And now after a few $1,000s,
I'm running over budget.
many hours of cleaning,
There's nothing rustic about dirt.
and a few trips to the antique store.
The antique dealers in Devil's Lake don't even want to see me anymore.
The school looks much the same today as it did when it first opened in 1898, and former students are amazed at the transformation.
When they walk into the initial schoolhouse where their desks are and stuff, they'll say, "Oh my, this is just like what I remember doing and going to school, you know."
Although the project was a joint effort among family and friends, many credit Les with the renovation.
Look at all Les did in here, Sharon.
For Les, seeing the school restored makes all his hard work worthwhile.
I think the best part is the memories that it brings back of those days when we were growing up in the 30s and 40s.
He's just been overjoyed by it, you know. And days like today with different friends coming, you know, he goes home now. He'll be tired, but it's something to remember by.
And it's the old memories in this newly restored schoolhouse that allow a 77-year-old man to feel like a kid once again. With photographer Tyler Tupa, I'm Megan Floggen reporting for Studio One.
More than 500 people have visited the old school since it reopened in 2002. The open houses are held about 3 times a year. The National Council for Adoption says there are between 1 and 2 million couples and individuals who would like to adopt children. We'll talk to someone who knows all about the adoption process next.
No matter what your schedule, no matter when you work, no matter what job you have now, this is your opportunity to accomplish your goals. Degrees After Hours at the University of North Dakota can work around your busy schedule. Bachelor and master's degrees are earned through convenient, flexible, and high-quality classes. Complete degrees are available online through correspondence study and on weekends and evenings. Earn a degree on your terms with Degrees After Hours at the University of North Dakota.
The College of Business and Public Administration at the University of North Dakota is proud to announce the Page Family Marketing Center. A gift from alumni Greg and Cindy Page, this center promises real-world experiences as students begin careers in marketing. The center includes a specially designed conference room for focus group research. An adjacent lab offers real-time access to software and data for marketing decisions. The Page Family Marketing Center, your next step in marketing.
The School of Engineering and Mines at UND has a long history of preparing students for successful careers. Through small classes and faculty involvement, students have unique opportunities to gain hands-on experience. Here, students launch a weather balloon to test a remote imaging device destined for Earth orbit. Students can also become involved in wind energy and fuel cell projects, design, build, and race a Formula One car, or even develop a camera that will generate agricultural images from the International Space Station. Find out for yourself how you can get involved at UND School of Engineering and Mines.
The UND College of Business and Public Administration is reaching out to rural America. The Government Rural Outreach Initiative is working to connect North Dakota veterans with important information. North Dakota veterans can use the internet to access employment and business resources, health and benefits they deserve, housing information, and much more. The Government Rural Outreach Initiative is funded in part by the North Dakota Congressional Delegation. North Dakota veterans and their families can get connected by visiting go.ndgrow.com.
The Adoption Institute says there are about 1.5 million adopted children living in the U.S. The adoption process takes important steps to find children good homes. Domestic open adoption consultant Renee Rongen is here to tell us more about adoption and the adoption process. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you, and thanks for bringing adoption on the forefront.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Well, first of all, you actually hold many titles. Could you maybe explain a little bit what they are?
A lot of them, because I'm passionate about a lot of things. I work in the adoption field. I do adoption consulting for couples that are looking to adopt through the open adoption process, and I'm also an international public speaker, keynote speaker, humorous speaker, and I also do consulting, marketing consulting.
All right, well, you actually specialize in domestic open adoption. Could you maybe explain what that is?
Well, there's probably more, but there's 3 main types of adoptions, and they are domestic open adoption, there's foreign adoption, and there's also foster care to adopt.
All right. Well, why do you feel it's important to work with people that want to adopt?
Well, it just happened to come by a fluke. That I have 3 adopted children, and they're all adopted through the open adoption process. And after our 3rd child was adopted, we started getting calls constantly about how we did this, and is there some magic that we got 3 healthy kids within a very short time? And there's not a lot of magic. There's a lot of prayer and to do some marketing on your own, and that's what people are doing now to find their own birth moms, which is a whole new thing. It's an identified open adoption.
Well, through all of that, you actually created a group to help other people. Could you maybe describe what that is a little bit?
Adoption Resource Group, which ARG, A-R-G is its acronym, and myself and another woman run ARG, and that's a part of my business, and we help couples that are looking to adopt domestically, open adoption, adopt children.
Well, what would you say would be the average time for the adoption process from start to finish?
Well, that's a good question. And it depends. It really depends on how much you focus on adoption and how much work that you do to promote yourselves and couples. But anywhere from 3 months probably to get a home study done, 3 to 6 months, anywhere up to 5 years. It really depends on the aggressiveness or assertiveness of the couple and or individual and the agency and or attorney that they're working with.
Wow, so there's a lot of range of time there.
Lots.
Well, what would you say would be the biggest misconception about adoption?
Well, the biggest misconception is, and I hear this all the time because my kids know that they're adopted, and a lot of people will whisper, aren't you afraid that their real parents are going to come and take them away? And no, I'm not, because in the open adoption process, the birth parents actually pick the adoptive couple, and they chose us, and we met them, and we were there when all our kids were born, and I can't wait for the day that we're all together again. And no, I'm not afraid they're going to come and get us, and legally, through the adoption process, children are adopted, and it's a legal binding agreement, and so they can't just come and get kids. So.
You actually wrote a book. What is it about?
I wrote a book called Grandy's Quilt, which is separate from adoption. It's called Grandy's Quilt, A Gift for All Seasons, and about an heirloom quilt that I received from my grandma. And it's about the transformation of the quilt. It's a true story. And it's the transformation of the quilt into gifts for many in my family.
So why did you write it? Just to pass it on, or?
You know what? I wrote it as an heirloom for my kids, actually, and I had so many people prompt me to get it published. So I went and got it published, and it's done really well. It's in its 3rd print, and it's going to have 10,000 copies by the end of November. So.
Wow, well, that's great. Well, among the other lists, you're also a keynote speaker. Who do you speak to?
Primarily corporations, women's groups, corporate sales meetings all across the country. When they have all their salespeople come in, I'm usually their keynote. I'm a humorous speaker. So I'm their keynote humorous speaker to either kick the day off or their after-dinner speaker.
Well, how did you get into speaking?
I talk a lot. I went to college for business and marketing, and I worked with lots of different companies across the world, and I loved doing the presentation part of it, and I got tired of writing marketing plans that sat on the shelf, and sorry for all you marketing people out there. And I wanted to do something that made a difference, and the topic I speak on is life is short, live your legacy. And it talks about the legacy that you leave behind and what you do with your life from the time you're born till the time you die. And I feel like I'm really blessed to be able to make a difference in the lives of people all over the world, and it's been very, very fulfilling.
Is that the only topic that you speak on, or do you speak about anything else?
Oh, I have a whole Life is Short series, but I also talk some on adoption, depending on what the venue is. But I have a whole Life is Short, enjoy your friends, Life is short, find your faith, Life is short, a staff that laughs. So it's lots of things.
Lots of things. Well, you've actually been featured in a lot of publications. Do you ever get calls or letters from people, either adoptive parents or people who want to adopt, asking you questions?
Yeah, a lot.
A lot?
A lot of emails, a lot of calls, and I'm just so honored that people would even want to know. And they just really want to know what is the process and how they can speed up the process. Most people want to know, what can we do to speed up the process? And that's really the part that I facilitate, is speeding up the process. I'm not an agency, I'm not an attorney, but I can work with them on speeding up the process from the beginning to the end.
All right, well, thank you for coming on the show, sharing
Thanks
such
for having
interesting
me.
information. So is there any place that anyone could go if they wanted to learn more about any of this?
Sure, they could go to www.renee, R-E-N-E-E, Rongen, R-O-N-G-E-N.com.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
You're watching Studio One from the University of North Dakota. We'll be right back after this.
Tradition runs deep among American Indian people. One of those traditions is helping others. At the University of North Dakota, American Indian Student Services is dedicated to helping students succeed. Our support services include tutoring and financial aid assistance. We have more American Indian programs than any other university in the U.S., making UND a leader in Indian education. Be a part of our tradition. Call 1-800-CALL-UND.
The Graduate School at the University of North Dakota is the premier graduate school of the Northern Great Plains, offering advanced degrees in more than 50 fields of study. Our innovative and flexible programs give full-time students, as well as working professionals, the opportunity to study under the guidance of nationally and internationally recognized faculty. Advance your career with a master's or doctoral degree from the Graduate School at the University of North Dakota.
When you graduate from college, what will you be able to offer an employer?
Well, I love working with people.
I'm a people person.
I consider myself to be highly motivated.
I'm a real self-starter.
Offer an employer something more. At the University of North Dakota Career Services Center, we can help you get the competitive edge you need. Stop in or check us out, UND Career Services, empowering students to realize their dreams.
I can offer you much more than just good people skills.
You're hired! No matter what your schedule, no matter when you work, no matter what job you have now, this is your opportunity to accomplish your goals. Degrees After Hours at the University of North Dakota can work around your busy schedule. Bachelor and master's degrees are earned through convenient, flexible, and high-quality classes. Complete degrees are available online through correspondence study and on weekends and evenings. Earn a degree on your terms with Degrees After Hours at the University of North Dakota.
This can happen.
Excuse me, can I get a ride?
What?
My car broke down. Can I get a ride?
No, I can't help you.
Look, it's just a ride.
No, step back.
Get in the car!
No!
Women can defend themselves. To learn more about Impact U or to enroll in a class, call the UND Women's Center.
Tune in next week on Studio One. A baby has many challenges to face coming into the world. We'll take a look at a medical practice that pampers newborns with massage. Plus, we'll have other news and entertainment stories for you.
We're going to leave you now with pictures of the tennis match between a couple of pros. From all of us here at Studio One, have a great week.